Alright, shalom, fellow brothers and sisters of Israel, and hello, brothers and sisters of YouTube. Going to rolling into part 7 of Abraham's seed in America. In Ezekiel chapter 35 is where I'm finna read how Esau came against Israel, and Israel didn't mess with Esau. But of course, this was part of the prophecy. The descendants of Esau are the Romans, because I'm gonna get to that, how the descendants of Esau are the Romans, when I read in Genesis about Esau. But here's the prophecy against Edom, or the descendants of Esau. Remember, he said, the same nation they serve as slaves I will also judge. I'm going to read the whole passage here. 35. The word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, set your face against Mount Seir. And you can read about Mount Seir in Isaiah chapter 2. Set your face against Mount Seir, prophesy against it, and say, this is what the sovereign Lord says. I am against you, Mount Seir, and I will stretch out my hand against you, and make you a desolate waste. I will turn your towns into ruins, and you will be desolate. Then you will know that I am the Lord. Okay, this is the prophecy. You're like, okay, I used you to punish Israel, now I'm finna punish you. 5. Because you have harbored an ancient hostility and delivered the Israelites over to the sword at the time of their calamity, the time their punishment reached its climax. Now, when the Israelites were suffering, that's where the oppression, well, of course the punishment was on them when they were slaves. Okay, punishment was on them, that was part of the punishment for them to go through what they went through. But when they reached the climax of their punishment, it's saying here, at the time of their calamity, because you harbored an ancient hostility and delivered the Israelites over to the sword, at the time of their calamity, the time their punishment reached its climax. This right here is where the upset is saying that when the Israelites reached the climax of their punishment, meaning when their punishment was over with, when they got set free by Abraham Lincoln, and their punishment was over with, that was Heavenly Father sent Abraham Lincoln to free the slaves, or the Most High. Their punishment was over with. Excuse me again. But when the Israelites, our ancestors, the African Americans' ancestors, went through oppression, Heavenly Father was highly opposed against it, because he was like, now you won't allow them to be as ordinary citizens. So they got sprayed with water hoses, attacked by German shepherds, got burned alive on crosses, and etc. Now when they got burned alive and all that stuff happened during slavery, that was part of their punishment. But when they got set free and trying to live civil and equal amongst their fellow brother, and they got treated, of course, like dogs, and all the stuff I just mentioned, went to jail for no apparent reason, some everything. And this where the anger and frustration comes in. It says when they reached the climax of their punishment, you held them up to the sword. You trying to keep them down. You trying to keep them suppressed. But I won't allow it. Moving on. Therefore, as surely as I live, declares the sovereign Lord, I will give you over to bloodshed, and it will pursue you. Since you did not hate bloodshed, bloodshed will pursue you. So you didn't hate cutting and skinning the Israelites alive. You didn't hate it. It seemed to not to bother you when you shedded the blood of the Israelites. So therefore, I'm finna shed your blood, since bloodshed don't bother you. So when you see your own blood getting shedded, your own people's blood getting shedded, it shouldn't bother you, right? Because it didn't bother you when you shed the blood of the Israelites. Moving on. I will make Mount Seir a desolate waste, and cut from it all who come and go. I will fill your mountains with slain. Those killed by the sword will fall on your hills, and in your valleys, and in your ravines. I will make you desolate forever. Your towns will not be inhabited. Then you know that I am the Lord. Verse 10, because you have said these two nations, these two countries will be ours, and we would take possession of them, even though I, the Lord, was there. The two nations and two countries he talking about is not America and Great Britain. It's the American and French Revolution over in Africa, where the land of Canaan is, the promised land to the Israelites, a portion of it in Egypt, where it is a part of Africa. That's where Yahweh dwelled. That's where Yahweh dwelled, or Jesus dwelled. He was over in that land ministering to the Israelites. He even, of course, the Virgin Mary brought him over to Egypt to grow up in Egypt until it was safe to go back to Jerusalem. So that's the land that he went over, and parts of Africa, as far as Canaan, etc. That's how they was aware of his gospel, aware of him. The disciples spread about Africa, teaching and ministering. And also in America, where he came and visited the Native Americans. They too know of Jesus Christ. It wasn't that Christianity was enforced on them, but Jesus himself appeared to the Native Americans. And that's the account record of the Book of Mormon, which a lot of people oppose or oppress. And I guess that's another segment I'm going to have to do, is not on the Book of Mormon, but teach out the Apocrypha, where it says there was 204 books total, but he wanted only 77 books to be withheld, but the other books to be published openly, and that the worthy and unworthy may read it. But that's a whole nother segment, like I said, to teach about the many books that he have out here, that some many can't get access to, and others many can. But the ones many can get access to, only the worthy, or who he considered to be wise and able to comprehend it, he lead them into those books, that their light may be shed on them to comprehend and understand what they read. But moving on, but yeah, the verse 10, what I was reading about, the American and French Revolution. When, of course, the European and Romans came over here and slaughtered the Native Americans and took their lands so they can rebuild a Roman Empire. Because when the Roman Empire fell, they needed a place to rebuild. So they said, this is a nice land over here. These short Indian people, these short natives, we can overtake them. And who are those short native Indian people now? What are they now called? Mexicans. The ones that's coming back over to their land. I shall return them back to their land. Well, those also are tribes of Israel coming back to their land. I don't see how that. My brother Mokovich sent me a video denying that some of those Mexicans are not of Israel. I just can't see how their conclusion, but I want to do a video response to that. But that's another one as well. But the American French Revolution is the French gave America the Statue of Liberty as far as thank you for helping us overtake Africa. So there was a gift to the Statue of Liberty, because that American and French Revolution, that's how we able to get all the natural resources we need in America, because the French is over Africa. The French rules Africa. Because of the American and French Revolution, hey, anything we need from over in Africa, any resources that we lack here in America, just go right over to Africa and we can get it. No problem. You ain't gotta worry about no spears and blow dots being blown at you, because we the French, we rule this over here. So as a gift, thank you for helping us overcome and take over Africa. Here's a gift. And they gave Lady Liberty to America as a gift in the American French Revolution. So these two countries shall be ours. These two lands is America, the land of the Native Americans, and Africa, or Kush, the land of the Israelites. Okay, moving on. 10, because we have said these two nations and countries be ours, we will take possession of them, even though I, the Lord, was there. Therefore, as I should have declared the servant Lord, I will treat you in accordance with the anger and jealousy you show in your hatred of them, and I will make myself known among